Hey guys, so first I want to start off by saying this response video is in complete agreement with Fall from Massive Iron. I felt like the points he brought up were just, well, they were great. It made me realize that what he brought up would be an excellent way of demonstrating how I got to where I am. So basically, this response is using me as a case study of everything he said. Before you watch this video though, I would recommend you go watch his video, at not only because his points are absolute spot on, but also because watching an angry old jacked man yell at a whole bunch of skinny kids for like 18 plus minutes while dropping or firing like rapid shot Gatling gun style, like radioactive gold flaming bullets of good points maybe all that was overkill, but entertaining at very least. Go watch it before this, or go watch it after this, or don't watch it at all. I'm not your boss. So with that, I took notes. I don't even take notes in D&D and barely took notes in class. So like, mad respect. I want to make sure I can stay on topic. So here we go. His video. Modern lifting is a dumpster fire. A couple things I got in his intro is, first, when he brought up that everything important is tossed aside, and that's where he said it's all tossed aside into the dumpster and it's lit on fire. That is where I feel all the good information that we've had for so long that has worked historically and gotten people big and strong, having that tossed aside, I feel has dramatically lowered the standards and expectations of not only lifters, but even Gen Pop in a way. We have really low expectations, not even throwing in PD users, and our standards have been lowered dramatically for what we're capable of accomplishing. Also, getting big truly is hard work. Part of the hard work involved in getting big isn't just like physically training hard or the eating and all some of the other things we're going to be bringing up, but it also is being willing to constantly evolve your knowledge of training and not being too dogmatic and learning new things and trying new things and reevaluating your standards, and like a lot of that mental and intellect stuff of being willing to recognize that the way you've done it doesn't have to be the way you keep doing it. Sometimes that is hard, constantly learning. When you stop learning, you stop getting bigger and stronger, is the short version of it. And with a lot of this just absolute mess of information out there, people are never really truly learning more and evolving their knowledge and learning good practical information and constantly challenging what they knew before. And guess what? Not only are not a lot of people big, a lot of people have very low expectations of how big and strong they can get. So let's try to get into it. His first point he brought up is you do need to get strong. Now, as I said, we're trying to use, in this response video, we're using me as a case study. So even though I am not concerned, and other bodybuilders and hypertrophy enthusiasts are not concerned about demonstrating strength, which means we don't care about 1 rep max on any lift, we still recognize progressive overload is absolutely necessary. What that means is relevant lifts in relevant rep ranges, relevant intensity, etc. Stuff that helps us build muscle. We know we need to get stronger in those things because over time, getting stronger in the relevant context develops bigger muscles. He also brought up the point that he knows that a lot of the bodybuilders and other people that are big, he knows they may say that they're weak and not that strong because they don't care about strength. Yet if you go and see what they perform in the gym, it is actually relatively impressive. I'm trying to remember some things I've done recently, and hopefully I'll remember to put up footage. Wide grip, neutral, weighted pull-ups, 200 pounds body weight plus 45 pounds for, I know I've done a set of 6, maybe as much as a set of 8. Somewhere I'll throw that up. That's something most gym goers cannot do. Wide grip, that's different ball game. Hammer strength rowing, I can do 135, like smooth form, each arm. Well, 8 weeks into a cut now, so even instead of 8 is tough, but before that, like I said, a 10. And that's, I'm going beyond failure too. What else? I'm sure I'll throw up a few other interesting things. They may not be a demonstration of 1 rep max strength on some form of competition lift, like a competition style bench press or an Olympic lift or something. But I can guarantee you, if an average gym goer were to go try to reproduce some of the stuff I do, even though I don't do that because I want to be good at doing that, I do that to get big in order to get to the size I have, which some people don't even agree with me calling myself intermediate. They claim I'm advanced, so whatever label, I bet most gym goers can't do what I do. And so discussing that, also how I care about size, that leads well into his next point of eating to grow. Now, yeah, a lot of people are afraid to lose their little six packs because they're a skinny kid and they're already so lean that they have some little definition and they don't want to lose that by eating to put on more muscle. But anyway, you don't have to giga bulk and like balloon up and become moon face in order to get bigger, but you do have to eat in a surplus. That won't mean putting on fat. If you're also smart about it and you do like the proper things, like, I don't know, directly train your abs, that will mean you still have at least some degree of definition as you put on weight. Just of course be careful not to be sloppy or doing a giga bulk or something I had when I was not very, also wasn't in a good place, but when I was not very focused on my diet, I became what I call barrel man. That admittedly, that was a case that didn't help me. But other times, which fortunately I at least have some footage for, where I did intentionally let myself put on a little bit of extra fat, helped me get to where I am now. The reason that's important is muscle building takes resources and it takes time. Muscle building is slow. Your body needs resources to build that. By comparison, losing the fat is fast and easy. So after you've taken in the extra resources to build the muscle, you can very quickly lose the fat to either one, reveal the work you've done, and or two, make room for another bulk. Because not only does it not look and feel good to get too fat, but there's also health implications for getting too fat from over bulking, and you do not have to over bulk. You can spend months very, very slowly putting on the weight to build the muscle, which is slow, and then quickly lose the fat and do it again. Many very successful bodybuilders and hypertrophy enthusiasts, or even various athletes who just want to get bigger so that way the extra muscular size can then be trained into strength for their sport. Like, this is next. Oh, yeah, point 3, starting with point 3. Oh gosh, Steve, again, okay. I censor me, but he doesn't censor him. So here we go. F the easy path. Forget the easy path. This is where he was talking about stimulus to fatigue ratios. Chances are you're too weak to worry about that. Someone who isn't even benching 2 plates for a single yet doesn't need to worry about strength to fatigue ratio. Actually, as an example, I fairly recently dropped the Larson press out of my routine because after a brief conversation with Bald Omni Man, Paris Butler, on Instagram, Absolute Chad, check him out. He was gracious. Him and some others are very good at being willing to spend some of their time and talking to people who are reasonable. He, between both the short chat and directing me to a video of his, helped me evaluate the fact that I am not strong enough yet to have fully earned the benefits of the Larson press with its improved stimulus to fatigue ratio. It's not bad for me to include it, but the real benefits of that self-limiting variation are better applied to a much stronger athlete lifter, hypertrophy enthusiast, whatever, someone who is stronger than me, which according to people on the internet, I'm advanced, I'm not strong enough to take full advantage of the Larson press yet. So guess what? I dropped it from my program. The reason for that is I have to earn those more optimal exercises really, and the more basic stuff that might also be more fatiguing because I'm not strong enough for that extra fatigue to matter. You stick with the basics. So until you are reaching a point, actually in his video I believe he brought up the case of the deadlifts, until you're reaching the point where your warming up for your deadlifts takes so long and fatigues you so much it becomes a detriment, you don't worry about switching it. For me, the bench work I just doing basic close grip bench, the warm-ups do not take long, they do not overly fatigue me, and from the workouts where I did Larson press versus where I did close grip bench, in terms of fatigue, for fatigue management, negligible difference. So save the extra optimal exercise for later. And based on just how numbers and statistics work, I'm probably stronger than a good portion of you, even though I am not intentionally trying to get strong. So if I drop some more optimal stuff for the basics, you can too. Also, work capacity, as he brought up, a huge reason I've been able to get to where I am is I've built huge work capacity, supersets and giant sets. I can't remember the last time I did a straight set of anything, which means just I do a set of the exercise, rest, do it again, rest, do it again. I can't remember the last time I did that because all my rest time is filled with doing another exercise. I might chill for a minute before moving to that next exercise because sometimes they're rough and I still need to rest between exercises. But it's always at minimum a superset, at minimum 2 things. The reason you need to do that is time efficiency. If you were to do straight sets all the way through for the type of work you need to do to get big, for hypertrophy work, for bodybuilding work, it would take obscene amounts of time. So for me, like a full body workout, like I can usually manage to keep within 2 hours sometimes if I'm feeling particularly good and I got food and hydration on point beforehand. I can go up to like 2 hours and 15 minutes. That's not like doing a set of 3 on squats and then resting for 5 minutes. That is actually, I think I have some recent examples. Should have got my training log for this. But like on my most recent one, it was like a set of 6 to 8 SSB squats. And then I did like, what was it, like calf work or something. Did multiple rounds of that. Then I did a press variation, a pull or row variation, and like neck or something as another giant set. And then a second press and a second pull and like ab work or something. Like multiple things added up. Actually, I forgot the entire assistance leg work I did after the squats that I combined with abs. So anyway, like it's not uncommon for me to have like 12 to 15 exercises full body in a 2-hour period. The work capacity you need to manage all of that volume and supersetting and giant setting all of that work together with the types of weights and the reps and the sets you're throwing together, you need work capacity. It is not easy. Even if by that point you've earned the ability to use a more optimal exercise that has greater stimulus to fatigue, so it fatigues you a little bit less, like systemically doesn't beat you up as much, so you have more energy for the workout, it is still brutal. And building that work capacity is a huge reason I'm to where I am now. And also, that is transferable. I work outdoors, often having to break down pallets and be physically active. And that work capacity has transferred to making my job seem easier than my training. Not taking the easy way not only gets you big, but it's transferable to other things as well. So, all right, I can go on. So I'm trying to cut myself off from each point. Point 4, F guessing. Forget guessing. So the thing about RPE and IRR, so RPE is rate of perceived exertion and RIR is reps in reserve. They're basically inverse of the same thing. Those are predominantly for fatigue management for strength training programs. And strength is actually referring to attempting to get you better at a 1 rep max in a competition style lift. That is the purpose of those things. For hypertrophy programs, they are not necessary. For hypertrophy training, those are not necessary. And if you're trying to apply like RPE to like a curl, no. Like the only times I don't go to failure is on a lift where it could injure me to do that, where it might be unsafe, or where it might take up too much energy for the rest of the workout. So like squats, I don't typically take to failure if I'm doing full body or even not full body, because I don't want it to fall and crush me. And if I'm doing full body, I need energy for the next hour and 45 minutes of the rest of my body I'm training, and legs aren't the top priority. So I'm fine leaving a little bit left in that. But for other things, calf training, arm training, if I'm doing a machine for like, let's say a press or a row, there's no reps in reserve for some of those lifts. If I have, especially if I have the mental and physical energy to do it, I'm attempting to reach failure so the set can truly begin after failure. Whether we're talking rest pause, where I stop and take like some breaths for 5 or 10 seconds and then hit it again to push beyond, or like baby reps where I'm doing partials after I've reached technical failure. It is pushing me on that. For once you've reached a certain level of size and strength, if you want to continue putting on size, you need to forget holding back. You adapt to that. Once again, work capacity adapts to that, and your size adapts to that. And it actually took me years of building intuition from experience to determine when and where I can hold back, I should hold back, and where I need to go to failure. A lot of that is also learning to be honest with yourself. So I know that when I'm doing leg training, for instance, if I need and want to push to failure, and that's the appropriate thing, I'll pick a variation where it is safe for me to do that, like deep range of motion leg press. If I reach complete muscular failure and I can't finish the concentric, it'll just catch easily on the safeties, low risk. Or I've done that on like pressing exercises, or it's great on rowing, because once you're out, you just let go. So if I'm honest with myself from experience, and I know I have the energy to do that while still completing the rest of my workout, that is what I will do. I will reach the point where I cannot even finish the rep, reach actual failure. Oh, sadly, I don't have footage of this, but recently doing close grip bench, I had supports up, but I was trying to go for the 6th rep. Wasn't sure if I had it, but I wanted to go for it. And failing, I tried to get it all locked up, try to put it back up and re-rack it, but I only managed to re-rack one side and not the other, but it fell and hit the support, so I survived. Gotta push, and you learn the intuition for when it's safe to go. And in the case of hypertrophy, going to and past failure is useful. Fatigue management and not going to failure has its uses for strength training, 1 rep max training, demonstration of strength training. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about getting big. The training is different. So, cutting myself off again so we can move to the next point. Forget optimization, or an alternate title from the term he liked to use in there, be a force of nature. This might arguably be my favorite of all of them. There's a time and place just to go at it. It's going back to this little about optimal versus not optimal. A lot of the time, optimal is suboptimal. I think I named the video that. Anyway, the baseline, which means average human, is already remarkable. You're capable of adapting to a lot of things. The thing is, you need to give yourself something to adapt to. I've been training under very poor circumstances sometimes for a while. I've been working nights where I can't even remember how long. In my current job now, there have been times where I've woken up, for example, let's say, wake up at 8 p.m., at work by 9:30, work from 9:30 p.m. to noon, at the gym by, let's say, 1:30 for a 2-hour full body training session. That type of stuff I've done. Behind on sleep, had food, come in, fasted, just not because I'm trying to train fasted, but because that's just how it worked out. For a huge session, tons of volume, trying to push to and past failure. Like, lots of somewhat dumb crap within the limits of safety so I don't injure myself, but things that absolutely are not optimal. Not lifts that have the best stimulus to fatigue ratio, rough, low on sleep, tired, come in, work hard, like open air gyms, not even AC, so I'm sweating a whole bunch. So like you have to keep taking in water, but your body can't process water that fast, so you're getting nauseous from it's. You have to force yourself. You have to force your body to have something to adapt to. Your body is lazy or efficient, depending on how you look at it. It wants to save energy. Muscle is an expensive tissue to build and maintain. It will not build it if it does not have to. You need to make your body realize it has to build muscle. It will resist. You have to resist back harder. And then we get into the whole, we got to give it resources and stuff for all the building and things. But the big thing is the stimulus, the training, your program. That is the big thing. Your protein, the calories, your rest, like all of those other things we talk about, all come after the program, the training. Smart training is hard training. This does go back a little bit. We're earning optimal. When you are very on point from experience of knowing exactly how much you are able to pull out of yourself in a session, that is where you can start to find play with this first exercise I can do is this really brutal one, but I won't have energy for the third exercise. So the second one I'll do with a better stimulus to fatigue ratio. So that way I then have it. Like, that is experience. You have to know what you can do and be honest. That comes first by letting yourself hit the wall. You need to let yourself hit the wall by pushing so hard that you realize, no, I'm not, I have to give myself time to adapt to that, pull back a little, and then go again better. It's time and experience. But you can't get it by reading studies and just by watching YouTube videos or finding some perfect magical program. At the end of the day, past a novice level, you make your program. You have to be accountable for that. You have to learn you have to learn what you can handle, what you can adapt to. You have to try exercises. You have to experiment. If you truly want to get to an eventual optimal program, that comes from hard work and experience directly with yourself. You cannot read up on how to discover an optimal one. At the end of the day, when you see someone who is big train, it should make sense. When someone sees you train, it should click for why you're the size you are. A lot of small people, when I see them train, I know why they're small. And based on people I've talked to, when they've seen me train, they understand why I'm the size I am. So, I kind of brought this up as let's make this a case study on me, and I kind of ventured away and probably just took some of his points and reiterated them, and maybe even took longer. A lot of them think that their genetics are holding them back. No, it's not. You are holding yourself back. Your standards have been lowered, and it takes hard and smart work. Those are the same thing. Keep learning. You do have to learn. You do have to try new things, but also it has to be hard. It has to suck. You have to train under non-optimal circumstances, using not the best lifts, not the best equipment sometimes. You gotta go at it. So, cutting myself off again. I can keep going on. Feel I said enough. Thanks, guys.